Congressman, I want to ask you about Florida and the preparations that are being made there for Hurricane Irma. Can you just talk to me about what we're seeing? I know there's already been many evacuation calls here already.
Well, Julia, in my case, there's a lot of work to do here this week in Congress. The House is going to take up a major appropriations bill, but I'm heading home either tonight or early tomorrow morning because my wife and my two daughters are back at home. My parents are there. My whole family's there, and we are bracing for what could be the worst storm in Florida's history. Hurricane Andrew, which we marked the anniversary, the 25th anniversary of just a couple weeks ago, was a terrible storm. This could be worse. So what I'm asking everyone back home in my congressional district, especially the southernmost district, where it looks like right now this hurricane could make landfall, to make sure they listen to local authorities, obey evacuation orders. Those who live in the Florida Keys, also in my district, this is a chain of small islands, very, very dangerous. The Coast Guard is evacuating the Keys. If you remain in the Keys, there will be no one there to come to your aid. So please take this storm very seriously. I know we've seen some favorable movement in the track for Florida towards the east, but as of right now, South Florida is smack in the center of this hurricane's track, and we cannot take comfort in any of the changes we've seen in the track in just the last few hours.
Some very important advice there, Congressman. Thank you. We're just getting some further news from President Trump himself, of course, who's on Air Force One traveling to North Dakota, saying he's likely to see more hurricane funds coming from Congress at this point. So it very much ties into what we're seeing in Florida. We only saw 3 Republicans, I believe, in this vote for Hurricane Harvey emergency funding decide to vote against it. And obviously that's very different from what we saw and the tensions that were created over the funding issues for Hurricane Sandy. Do you think this has now changed the mindset in what we've seen in terms of Houston, and actually going forward there'll be greater cohesion, agreement on these kinds of things going forward?
Certainly. I do think we bottomed out in this institution when it comes to hyper-partisanship, and today's vote was an example of that. Only 3 members who are libertarian in nature, so they just don't believe the federal government has any role in any of this. I don't agree with them, and I don't think that's a good excuse for voting against this package, but that's what they would tell you. By the way, one of the important reasons why it's also to support this kind of legislation is you never know who's going to be next, and I was proud to cast that vote today to help the people of Texas, help some people in Louisiana, because Florida could very well be next, or the Carolinas. So we really do need to come together as a nation behind common sense policies like aid packages to support areas that have gone a major natural catastrophe disaster like Hurricane Harvey was, and like Hurricane Irma could be.